Welcome CSE 235, Advanced Web. We're going to be working on a little discount calculator. It's very similar to the exercises we've been doing, except hopefully you're going to be on your own a little bit more for this. So all that I'm going to do in this video is just kind of give you a little overview, and then hopefully you get started on your own. There'll be some training wheels in here along the way that'll help you, and hopefully you'll use those training wheels that are in the file, and don't just watch the video and try to stop it and look at my code. Try to work through this. This is an exercise that should take a little while. It shouldn't be something you crank out in 10-15 minutes. It should be one that you kind of, you have errors, you're trying to figure things out. It should take a little while to work it out, to get things to work, but I'll give you some helping steps along the way in your code. And let me just show you how this thing works. It's not that complicated. You put in a price in a field up here, and right now there's a default 10%. Again, it's just like the tip calculator that we worked on, except this is a discount, so it's going to be taking an amount off. So obviously, if you know a little bit about math, 10% off 100 will be $10, so the price should be $90 if this works out okay. So I'll do show price. Price comes out to $90. I put a 6% sales tax in there, which is Pennsylvania sales tax, which takes 6% of this price and then subtracts it and gives you this price. So this is the 6% of that one. So that's the way it's going to work out. So we have a total bill at the end with our discount. But just like the tip calculator, if you find out you have 20% off, you can figure that out, and it's going to take $20 off and give you an $80 price, and then take 6% off the $80 and then give you a total bill. So the concept is pretty simple as far as what's going on. It's a little flexible. We have the same arrows, they're the same ones we used in the tip calculator. So a lot of this will be very familiar, except you're going to be working it out on your own. And let me just show you what's here. I'll show you the finished code. And again, I don't want you to look through the finished code and try to memorize things or just write it down, because you're not going to learn from that. I want you to kind of work through this. So let me just show you what's happening here. Now I'm going to give you some of this. I'm going to give you the HTML. I'm going to give you the CSS, the internal CSS, so you don't have to worry about that. You're also going to have the HTML code. I will take away the function names, but I'll give you the IDs. And when you create your variables, just use these same names as variables. You can use the same names for variables as the ID names. They will not conflict because they're being used in different ways. So you have reg price, which is this thing, and I'll just reset this. This is reg price. Remember, this is a value you're going to need to get, and I'll describe getting and displaying, because there's pretty much what you're doing. You're getting values and you're displaying values. So you're going to get the value that someone puts in there, and we're even going to use the same thing we did on the other one, where if someone doesn't enter a price, we're going to force them to enter a price. So that's an if-else statement on that button that forces you to either enter something, and then it'll actually run the function that really works. So the function that runs on this is one that just checks if there's a price. And then if there's a price in there, then it'll actually run the real function, which is another function somewhere else. That's part of that if-else statement. So anyway, we get a value, reg price, and then what this thing is called is disc percent. This is discount percent that's in here, and there's a default value that's in here to start. This is discount price. That's going to be disc price. That's the ID, but you're going to use the same variable. And this is the tax, and that's the total. So those are the fields that you have. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields, and then you have 3 buttons that are actually going to be doing things. So I'll scroll down. Now I will give you this. I will give you the resets. And the resets are basically when you run the code, it wipes everything out except for this, because notice that I have a value in here of 10. I'll just start at 10. It's just a random value I put in there for a discount, because usually you don't get a discount much less than 10%. And then as far as what's going to happen here, and I'm going to give you some clues to this, but what we're going to do is we're going to have to get a value from here. We're going to get the value from here, and then we're going to use this parse float. We're going to have to use this parse float a lot to make sure that things translate as numbers, because whenever you get an NaN, it's not going to translate as a number. So what we're going to do is we're going to declare this as a variable so that we could use it again. So a lot of these times we're going to be declaring variables so we could use them again. So whatever values in here to start or that someone puts in there, we're going to declare a variable, and then it'll kind of move along, and then we'll make sure before it travels, it actually is in a parse float. And it's real easy to parse float. You just take the variable and you say equals parse float, and you put the variable name in it. It's just kind of parse floating itself. But what's happening here, just so you know, when you declare a variable, it has the equal at the beginning. When you're setting a variable, or when you're basically displaying, it has an equal sign at the end, like these. So these are displaying values. These are basically declaring a variable based on an existing value. So whatever value is in there, that's what this variable is going to be. So remember, that's displaying, this is declaring. So you're going to have to remember that as you go along. The next part I'll show you, I'll kind of skip over some code here. There's going to be two functions that raise and lower this discount amount. And we've done this on the previous exercise, so you can copy and paste code or look up that exercise and use the code from there. And the way this works is that there's a lower function and a higher function, and they run off these buttons. This is the lower one, this is the higher one. And they basically, what they do is they increment. This one's an increment, and this one's a decrement, or you could just say increase, or increase by 1, and this one decreases by 1. The lower one's first because that's on the left side, and that one decrements. And what happens after you decrease the number, then we're going to basically display it. So that's what this is. Remember, the equals towards the end is always displaying. So we decrease the number or we increase the number, then we display it, and then the last thing we do is we parse it. We do a parse float, so we make sure it travels as a number. So you're going to see three statements a lot of times in some of these functions. Discount percentage is actually declared up here. We're going to declare it up here in the beginning. We're not going to do it inside a function. We're going to declare it up here. And this is the only one we're declaring kind of outside of the function. And we're declaring it. And the reason I'm doing that is because I like the idea of declaring it first before we use it in a function. You know, before we're using kind of the short name here, I like to declare it. So we're declaring it and we're saying, okay, discount percentage, we're getting the value from whatever's in here, whether it's 10 or whether it changes, and then it's traveling along as a number. We take that variable or subtract from it, we're going to add to it, and then we're going to display it, and then we're going to make sure that value travels along as a number. So that's what's happening in these two functions that run off of these two buttons. Okay, then when it comes to the show price, now before the show price is where all the action happens in here. That's where it calculates everything. Before the show price, if you remember on the last exercise, we actually created a function called check meal, but this one's going to be called check price, and it just does an if-else statement. And just remember that if-else statements have two curly braces for the if and two curly braces for the else. The if has a condition in parentheses, and it's basically going to say, you know, if whatever value in there, the value is equal to equal, remember it has a double equal signs, is equal to nothing, then we're going to run in a window alert, and it's going to have a little, you know, pop-up that's going to tell you to enter a price. If not, if there's a value in there, whether it's a number or a letter, if it's a letter, it's not going to work right, but we didn't anticipate that yet. But for now, if we're going to assume they're going to put in a number, and then it's going to run the show price, and I'll show you what the show price. This is a function named show price, and it's down here, and it's the last function. It's the one that has the most information in it, and I'm going to have comments in there to help you through it, but it kind of calculates the values in these boxes. That's what show price does. So the way this is going to get set up, it's going to have variable reg price. Now you might say, well, why didn't we declare the variable up there? The reason we're declaring it is because we can't really do anything with this value yet until we hit the button. So it's good to basically declare it within this function that's hitting the button, because then it'll travel as a number in here. So this number that's in here isn't really doing anything until we hit the button. That's why we want it in here in the function that actually happens when we hit the button. So we're going to declare this as a variable in here, reg price, and we're just going to get it from the value. And then we're going to make sure that we parse float it. And then the next is the three boxes. The discount price, and these all kind of work the same. Now some of them get a value, some of them calculate a value. The discount price calculates a value. It basically takes reg price and subtracts reg price times discount percentage, which is this, which would be like, you know, let's say this is 100. It would do 100 times 10. Now that would be 1,000. So we don't want that. That's why we're going to have to add in an extra decimal here of 0.01 so that it multiplies that by and gets a smaller value, so that it gets 10. So that it takes 100 minus 10. So it'll be 100 minus 10. And that's how we're going to get the 90. So if we did show price here, that's how we get the 90. So that's how it's going to calculate that. A little bit of math in there, but just make sure. We could have broken this up, but it might be easier just to do it all at the same time. So that we're just putting parentheses in there just to make sure, even though we don't need them because order of operations should do the multiplication first, but we're going to just put parentheses. Even just visually, it kind of helps you to figure that out, that to know that it's going to take the regular price and subtract whatever value you get in there, which should be 10 if that's 100 or whatever it happens to be. And then again, we're going to make sure that it travels as a number, and there's the float. And then the last thing we'll do here is we'll display it. So we'll just basically say, okay, in that ID, make sure that the value is equal to the discount price, and then to fixed to, basically we'll put the two decimal places after it. And now the next two actually go pretty much the same way. The tax goes, the tax equals discount price times 0.06. So that's basically declaring. You're basically going to follow the process of declaring it. And here we have to declare it with a calculation. So it's just discount price, whatever this is, times 0.06. Then we have to make sure it travels as the number. So we parse it. And then we have to make sure we display it, which is just tax.toFixedTo. So that's going to display the tax. And then the very last thing, same process again. We just declare it. We say total, the value that we want to hold is just going to be tax, which is 540, plus the discount price, which is 90. And it's going to end up being this. And then we just want to parse it, although we're not going to do anything else with it, but we should still, we're doing that process. We might as well just be consistent. And then the last thing we're doing is displaying it. And that's pretty much what's going to happen here. So, no matter what we put in, $50, and we have a 25% discount. We'll show the price, and that's what it comes out to. So, and then we can adjust this and kind of update it as we go. Now, what you're going to start with, and I'll just show you, if you go to e-learning, advanced web applications, and I'll go to documents and resources, and if you go down to this discount start code, you're going to take all this code and you're going to copy it. You're going to copy this code, all of it, and you're going to copy it, and then you're going to go to your online editor and whatever it might be, and you're going to basically, I'll paste it all in here. I'll paste everything in here, and I'll give it a new name, and you're going to call it discount. So just call it EX7 discount. That's all you should need. And then save as new JS. And I already have one called that. So I'll just call it discount 3 because I think I have a 2. I'll save as new JS. Okay, and then I'll just show you the code here and just show you some of the things that I have. Now again, you have your CSS, so we'll skip that. You have your HTML. You're not going to have your function names in there, so you're going to have to put them in there when you're done. Now I'm giving you this, so you have the reset, and you also have the value getting set to 10, so that's there. And then I just put comments in here. These are JavaScript single line comments, and I put function in caps. So you're going to have a function that checks if a price is entered. That's the if else. So that's your little clue of doing that one. Then you're going to declare the variable for the discount percent, and then you're going to float parse it. So two things you're going to do here. You're going to declare this variable, and remember, you're going to declare the variable based on the value. So that's where you go like var disc percent equals document get element by ID. That's where you actually kind of do this kind of thing. That's, you declare it and you get the value. So you're getting whatever value is into that variable. So that's what you're going to do for that one. So that's going to be the first part of it. So you have your if else, and you could do this if else you could do later. You could start this stuff first, and then you have functions that lower or raise your discount percent. Now that, and I just gave you little clues here. You increase and decrease. Each one will have 3 statements in it. You increase and decrease, or increment, decrement, and then you display it in the ID box, and then you float parse it just to make sure it travels as a number. So there's 3 statements that are going to be in there. For those 2 functions, there'll be 2 functions, a higher and a lower, or however I called them. I think they were lower and higher. And then this last one is show price. And remember, there's going to be a check price. I think I mentioned that. I didn't name it in here. I actually didn't declare the function. So you have to declare the function in there for check price. But this one, I already have it declared. It's called show price. So everything goes inside this function. You can see here's the end curly bracket, and here's the start curly bracket. So these are going to be, you're going to put stuff in here, or put statements after these comments. So here's where you declare the var for reg price and gets the value in parse float. So you get the value from there as a variable, and then you parse float it. Here you declare the variable that calculates the discount price, and then you parse float it and you display it. And then you declare the variable for the tax, and then you parse float it and you display it. And same thing here, declare the variable for the total, and then you parse float it and display it. So these 3 work kind of similar. So you should be able to follow that. I gave you some scaffolds here, or some training wheels to kind of help you through it. And as we do other exercises, I'm going to try to have you do more and more on your own, because I think it's good to kind of struggle through these and kind of figure them out. And I may be giving you too much to start, but hopefully this will kind of move you on your way. I did this myself and worked through it, and had a little issues here and there of where to put things and when to parse it and stuff like that. So I tried to give you as much help as I can, and then we'll try to take those training wheels off and have you write more and more code on your own to kind of get the idea of it, because following me is one thing and doing it on your own is another. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to go to eLearning, you're going to copy that code right out of here, and you're going to paste it in and save it as a new file, a new JS, and you're going to call it, like I said, EX7 discount. It'll be in your, make sure you log into your area to do that, and you're going to start filling in the JavaScript for that. And then, if you have a problem, let me know. If it works, great, and then we'll start building up more challenges with our JavaScript, and pretty soon we'll be getting into working with brackets too, because we want to work with some images too. So good luck with this, and let me know if you have any problems.